It started on a cold evening, the kind where everything feels heavier than it should. My parents had gathered everyone in the living room, me, my older brother, and my sister. The air felt tight, and I knew something was coming. Dad's voice was sharp when he spoke. "You're an adult now. It's time you start contributing properly." I frowned. "I already help with groceries and bills. What more do you want?" Mom crossed her arms. "You live here, eat our food, use our electricity. You should be paying rent like a real adult." I sat back, stunned. Rent? From them? My own parents? I'd been working part-time ever since finishing college, trying to pay off student loans and save for a place of my own. Every extra dollar I made went toward survival, not luxury. My brother chuckled. "If you can't pay, maybe it's time to grow up and move out." That one stung more than I wanted to admit. I looked at him. He had a stable job in Dad's company, handed to him right after graduation. My parents never asked him for a cent. I tried to stay calm. "So this is about money now?" Dad's voice hardened. "It's about responsibility. Pay up or leave this family. Your choice." The words hit me like a slap. Leave this family? As if I were some stranger renting a room instead of their child. No one said a word. My sister avoided my eyes. My mother just stared, waiting for my answer. Finally, I stood up. "All right," I said quietly. "If that's the choice you're giving me, then I choose to leave." My dad's jaw tightened. Mom's eyes widened for a moment, but she didn't say anything. My brother smirked. I walked to my room, packed what little I owned, a few clothes, my laptop, some books, and left that house without looking back. As the door shut behind me, a strange calm settled over me. I didn't have a plan, just a promise to myself. If they wanted to see what I could do without their help, I'd show them. They thought they were teaching me a lesson, but the real lesson was about to be theirs. The first few weeks after leaving home were brutal. I crashed on a friend's couch, juggling shifts at a grocery store and freelancing online at night just to cover food and rent. There were days I didn't eat properly, nights I fell asleep at my laptop mid-project, and mornings where the only thing that kept me going was the echo of my father's voice. Pay up or leave this family. But pain can be powerful fuel. Every insult, every dismissive glance from my parents burned in me like fire. I told myself, I'll never give them a reason to pity me again. I poured every spare hour into learning. Coding, design, marketing, anything that could help me earn more than survival money. I stopped going out, stopped wasting time, and focused entirely on building something that was mine. Slowly, I started landing better freelance jobs. Clients recommended me, my work improved, and before I realized it, I wasn't just surviving, I was building. 6 months later, I got a remote contract with a startup based overseas. The pay, more than my dad made monthly. For the first time in my life, I could breathe. I moved into a small but cozy apartment. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I bought a cheap table, set up my laptop, and promised myself I'd never have to rely on anyone again. Then, something unexpected happened. My brother called. He never called unless he wanted something. "Hey," he said, sounding awkward. "Mom and Dad, they've been asking about you. You doing okay?" I laughed softly. "I'm doing better than okay." There was a pause. They didn't mean what they said. You know, Dad was just stressed. Stressed enough to kick out his own son? I asked. "No, they meant it. But it's fine. It helped me." He sighed. "Look, things aren't going great at home. Dad's business is struggling. The new client pulled out, and his voice trailed off. And what?" I pressed. "He said if you could lend some money, just for a few weeks, he'd pay you back." For a moment, I couldn't even speak. The irony hit hard. The man who told me to pay up or leave was now the one asking me for help. "I'll think about it," I said, ending the call. That night, I sat at my desk staring at my first month's savings report. I'd done it all alone, without their help, their approval, or their love. And now they wanted my support. The next morning, I sent a message to my brother. Tell Dad I'll help, but on one condition. He comes to see me himself. A week later, there was a knock on my door. When I opened it, Dad stood there, older than I remembered. His pride was gone, replaced by something that almost looked like regret. I didn't come for money, he said softly. I came to apologize. I didn't say anything, just gestured for him to come in. He looked around my small apartment, noticing the framed certificate on my wall, top freelancer of the month. His eyes softened. You really did it, he murmured. Without us. Yeah, I said quietly. Without you. He nodded slowly. I was wrong. I thought I was teaching you responsibility. I didn't realize I was pushing you away. For the first time in years, I believed him. Maybe it was guilt, maybe it was love, but it was real. I'll transfer the money, I said, not because you asked, but because I can. He looked up confused. Why? Because unlike you, I don't put conditions on family. He didn't argue. He just stood there, silent, eyes glistening. And in that moment, I realized I didn't need revenge anymore. I already had everything I'd ever wanted, peace, independence, and dignity. Still, I knew one thing. He'd never forget the day his son, the one he threw out, became the one who kept the family afloat. A few months later, I visited my parents' house for the first time since that night. Nothing had changed, the same old sofa, the same family photos on the wall, but the air felt different. Lighter somehow. My father greeted me at the door with a quiet smile, my mother following close behind, her eyes watery but warm. Dinner was awkward at first. The silence between bites said everything words couldn't. But then my mom reached for my hand. We've been talking about how we treated you, she said softly. It wasn't fair. We were proud of your brother because his success was easy to understand. Yours, we just didn't see it coming. Dad cleared his throat. I was too hard on you. I thought pressure would make you stronger, but all I did was drive you away. I looked at them for a long moment. You were right about one thing, I said. Pressure did make me stronger, just not in the way you expected. They both smiled faintly. My mother wiped a tear. Can we start over? She asked. I hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, but this time, I'm not a child trying to prove my worth. I'm a man who knows it. After dinner, my dad walked me to the door, like he used to when I was a kid. You built something incredible, he said. You didn't just survive, you thrived. I'll never forget that. I smiled. Neither will I. When I drove away that night, the streetlights blurred in my rearview mirror. I wasn't leaving in anger anymore. I was leaving in peace. I'd learned that family isn't about who demands your loyalty. It's about who respects your journey. They once told me to pay up or leave. So I left and built a life they couldn't buy, one earned by every hour of struggle they never saw. And now, when they look at me, they finally see what I always knew. I was never the failure. I was the proof that love without respect